So we're calling to order Ukiah Valley Sanitation District regular meeting on Wednesday, May 8th, 2019 at 6 p.m. at 151 Laws Avenue in the district's meeting room. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. HLC roll call, please.
Chair McFarland.
Present.
Vice Chair Witt.
Here.
Director Reed. Here. Director Bachman. Here. Director Marshall.
Present.
So anyone in the public wishing to speak on an item that is not on the agenda, now is your opportunity. Seeing none, I'm going to close public expression. Item number 3, approval of board meeting minutes. Anyone from the public wishing to comment on meeting minutes? I'll close public expression on that. And any board members have any changes to the minutes?
I move that we approve the minutes.
Director Marshall made a motion to approve. Is there
I'll second.
Second by Director Webb. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Thank you. Item number 4 is the consent calendar. Is there any comment from the gallery on that item? Seeing none. Any board members wish to pull any items for separate approval or consent?
I have a question. The April monthly expenses, they don't have any attorney's fees listed. And I wondered why there aren't any. We had closed session in April. And
Well, it's not that we don't have attorney fees, it's that we haven't gotten the bill and paid it yet. It's supposed to be posted.
oh, so we haven't gotten any.
Well, when we don't pay them right when we receive it anyway, so it probably rolled over into April.
You mean May?
Or May, yeah. For the April bill.
Sometimes there's
Okay.
a week or two delay because I go over them intensely and go back to the law office and I question things and I have things taken off and make sure everything's accurate, and so we don't just pay the invoice as we get it.
So you'll show in May if it was in April, it occurred in April or May, or will you?
That would be a May payment.
It's a May payment for an April invoice.
Okay, so we'll see it then, I guess. Okay.
Is there a motion to approve consent?
So moved.
I see.
Director Webb and Director Parkham seconds. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Thank you. Item number 5, discussion and possible action regarding the approval of master service agreement with Willow Water District. Everyone has the agreement, and Dave Redding, who is the district manager for Willow, is here, and he's prepared to talk to us and answer any questions we might have. And I think the most important thing about this contract is that it is going to give us a district manager. And it's going to give us a district manager for, at the cost of $3,250 a month. And so we budgeted $180,000 for the year for the district manager. So we will be falling way under that. We can adjust our budget and we'll be saving our ratepayers some money then. So this item is now open for discussion. Anyone would like to?
Was he going to say? Dave?
Would you like Dave to speak first?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, Dave, why don't you come on up?
So I'm here to answer any questions if you guys have anything. This is a discussion that has been going on for about 7 years, between the Sanitation District and the Willow Water District. What you see before you tonight is a draft that was prepared by Willow staff. It hasn't been finalized or approved yet by the Willow Board. That will depend upon your decision tonight.
I'm curious about the other water districts. I know that you guys have just recently done a JPA, is that correct? Or
There is a JPA, Willow is not a part of the JPA
Okay.
of the state. But we do have service contracts with some of the other water districts.
Okay.
So right now you have service contracts with Calpella Sewer,
Calpella Water District, which is a
Calpella
water and
Water.
sewer district.
Mhm.
Southland Public Utility District, which is also a water and sewer district.
Mhm.
Milton County Water District, which is just water. Red Valley, which is just water.
and so all of those go through this building now, this office?
That's correct. Their employees became Willow employees about 2.5 years ago,
Mhm.
and so everything ran out of the Willow Water office. Combining the billing and operations.
And so has it been a successful relationship with everyone? And
I believe it is. We have to talk to the boards, but I think it's going really well. We've been able to combine our best efforts from both agencies, and I think we're building a really good working force and a team that's proven to be a cost savings for all of our constituents, eliminating duplication of services and some of these other things.
So do you still have all the separate boards, or have you combined?
Yes, they do. Each district has a separate board.
Were you going to try and consolidate boards eventually?
Sure, that's been talked about. That's what the JPA, part of the reason why the JPA was formed, looking at possibly down the road to have one single entity, and that's still being discussed. Forming a JPA is a big part of that process, and that may be just as far as it goes. There's talk about a regional water and sewer district here in the entire valley. That's future will talk about that.
And so Dave, you've been around for a long time. How long have you been in the capacity with Willow?
37 years.
Yeah.
I see this as a tremendous opportunity for us. It's something that this board has discussed for a long time, and the lawsuit prohibited us from partnering with Willow because it, obviously they didn't want to take on that burden. So now that that's in the past and behind us, I'm really excited to partner with Willow and the other water districts, water and sewer districts, and move forward. And as a first step, this is a first step. There could be many steps along the line where our billing and collections comes here and goes through them. Maybe they could take over our employees so that they'll get retirement, which they don't have now. We could possibly look at combining all our efforts, for O&M. So I think just the district manager services right now is just a way to ease into it and put our toes in the water and start forming this relationship. And I think it's beneficial to the ratepayers to have a district manager, and you can't argue with the cost on it.
So I had a comment it sounds really good from a district manager perspective, but we have something else to consider. We have an obligation to our ratepayers to investigate all the options. And we have currently two options that are on the table, and one is a JPA with the city, and the other is contracting with Willow Water. So I think it would behoove us to proceed carefully and consider both documents before we just jump in and completely ignore the other one. And to that end, I did extensive research because I don't know a lot about JPAs. And
So the one we're talking about now is not a JPA.
I know, but I mean, I'm talking about JPA versus just Willow Water doing our DM work. And I felt we should proceed carefully without jumping in and not considering the other proposal. And so I contacted an expert, and he's an attorney from Citrus Heights. He's an expert in JPAs and small districts. He's city attorney for 4 different cities. And I contacted him, and he could provide us, review the Willow Water versus forming a JPA with the city and give us the pros and cons. He can suggest changes that would benefit the district. He could give us an unbiased view of both options. And it would be not very much money. He can, the contract, he can review the contract in a couple of hours.
So I think if you want to discuss hiring other attorneys, that would be a separate agenda item. Right now, we have attorneys. Right, please,
No.
let me finish, please.
Okay.
Right now, we have a firm who knows our district. We have all of our financial people in place who know our finances. We have people with the best interest of the district ratepayers working for us.
Okay,
And to
finish?
hire
Can
and
I
to
just
spend
finish?
money on
Can
something
I just finish?
without any board.
No, this would cost less than $1,000. And I feel that our attorneys have a vested interest in keeping the current, rejecting anything that would reduce legal fees. I think there's a perceived conflict of interest. He can do it quickly at minimal loss, and he can go through the Willow Water proposal and the JPA and give us.
I'm sorry, but the joint powers agreement with the city of Ukiah, there's no joint anything. It's 100% city. So this person would have to look over $15 million of finances annually to see how it would affect the district. This is not paying somebody $1,000 to spend 2 hours reading over a document to make sure it's legal. This is how it will financially impact the people that live in this district. That is a separate agenda item. Right now, we are talking about a master service agreement with
Yeah, and I'm saying that we should just combine the two and have someone from the outside review both proposals before we jump in to with Willow Water, because we have two proposals here that we should consider. And this guy has a lot of experience. I have his resume. He put together a little contract, and I wanted to pass it out to you guys.
Did you get a contract on behalf of this board?
It was an example so that you can see what it would look like. And I just asked him to send me an example, and I want to give this to each board member so they
Okay,
can read
Director
this.
Witt, you have the floor now.
Okay, well, if we're, Julie, if you're worried about the acceptance of the joint powers agreement from the city, I am not in favor of it at all because of the fact that it combines all the funds of the district and the city, and then as the city purchases equipment, land, offices, whatever they buy in the future for the operation of the district, that's all the cities, and the districts reaps no benefit from that at all. So if for some reason the district separated from the city in the future, the district would have paid for half of everything, all the capital improvements, and end up with none of them. And that right there is a deal killer for me. I can't vote for it.
So we're not able to negotiate back with the city, whatever they sent us as the final.
So,
you
I
know,
mean,
we spend,
have
how many
you-
millions of dollars did we spend on an operating agreement that if everybody
it's-
wanted to play ball by the operating agreement, we wouldn't have problems?
It doesn't
If
seem to
everybody
be
read the
working.
words the
No,
same.
it's not working because the city doesn't want it to work.
Yeah.
Okay, they actually signed a settlement agreement. This says they would execute the new operation agreement. And they have violated their settlement agreement by refusing to abide by the new agreement and giving us this proposal.
Yeah.
We can vote, we can discuss the proposal tonight by the city when it comes up on the agenda, but right now we're gonna talk about the master service agreement with Willow. If we think it's a good idea, if we need a district manager, if $3,250 a month is worth having a district manager to these ratepayers. This will probably save us about $5,000 a month in attorney fees alone, because right now we have attorneys doing the job of our district manager. And guaranteed, any contract or any agreement you want me to go into that's at the cost of about $15 million a year, I'm gonna need more than a couple days or a month or 2 months
it's well
to
worth,
investigate
it's
it.
well worth having an outsider evaluate the JPA and change it if you have certain, and I wanted to form an ad hoc so that.
We will talk about the JPA when it comes up
Yeah,
in the
that's-
agenda. Right now, we're talking about the master service agreement.
I just want to reiterate that the purpose of the sand district is to provide services to people outside of the city. And what is being proposed now with working with Willow Water District just seems to feel right with that. Now, obviously, we're going to be hearing what the city proposes. So beyond hearing it, and then it gives us an opportunity to discuss it. But I don't know about hiring an attorney. I don't think that that's a step that I'm not ready to take.
And I don't even believe that, there's a lot, in my mind, there's a lot wrong with this agreement. I don't know how the city council can represent the district ratepayers when they don't elect the city council. You know, you don't vote for the city council where we live. So we are having someone that we don't even choose run our district. I don't think that that's legal. I think that you actually have to have a board like this to run it.
That's why I
So
like an attorney that is out of the fray to give us,
I think
and there are a lot of.
it's so far off, Julie, I'm not gonna vote for it, so I mean,
Can we agree
we
just
can
to
hire all
hear
the
it first?
attorneys you want, I'm not
Just
gonna
hear it.
vote
Let's
for it.
hear what they got to say, and then
I mean, I
Yeah, discussion,
suppose
maybe
when we're with Willow Water, if we decide to go a different direction, you can break that
It's a
contract at
6-month
any time.
obligation,
Yeah, they can,
6 months at a time.
Yeah.
Right, Dave? We're not obligating ourselves to the next 20 years. It's 6 months for a district manager. What we choose to do after that is up to this board.
may I? Are we finished? I hope we're not finished with discussing the Willow Water District yet, are we?
No.
Okay.
We're still on
But
the,
I saw in here it said the term was 24 months.
One correction, Madam Chair.
Mhm.
It's, the initial term is, I believe, 6 months, but then it renews for 12 months if automatically.
Okay. So the initial term is 6 months, it renews for 12.
Can you show me where you're reading it that way?
13. This agreement shall be effective in 1,000 days, shall generate 20 minutes from such date.
And you have the 180 days notice that you can give
Yeah, I'm just not seeing the,
at any point in time.
And
the 6 months in there at all.
It's 180 days.
So I just, I really like the idea of somebody here local who knows who's involved with all the different utilities, whether it's the maintenance or the city. And Dave Redding is by all means able to do that. So I feel very, very fortunate that he's willing to consider it.
blessing. Is there any more discussion from the board? Seeing none, is there anyone from the gallery wishing to comment on this item? City Manager Sanitation?
Yeah, good evening. Thank you very much. Partnerships are great for many of the reasons that Chairperson McNerlin mentioned, but you also were talking about how to take those partnerships to the next level and how you form combined operations, future JPAs. The agreement with Willow is essentially taking a step backwards, the same discussions that the city and the district had in 1955 that originally formed the partnership. What we're talking about with the city in the current proposal is about putting us forward in an actual JPA, taking that next step for the benefit of our ratepayers, for the benefit of our community. We have to stop what we're doing. It is not working. The existing agreement, 44 pages of which most intelligent people will not be able to understand. I don't think the attorneys fully understand what is there because it's leading to additional arguments, disputes. We were served today with an 18-page letter from the district, from Duncan James's office, regarding one account with an additional 106 pages of attachment. Just that one account and how much time that took to write that letter and research that. I mean, we've spent $9 million total in litigation. To what end? It hasn't benefited the ratepayers. It hasn't benefited the system. In fact, it's done quite the opposite. It's going to lead to increased fees. It's going to lead to increased expenses. And all that money has been extracted from the system now, not going to anybody but the attorneys. We have to stop that. The current agreement's not doing that. And that, you know, case in point is the fact that we're in arbitration. Both the city and the district have served arbitration. The board took that action. We have to stop that. Hey, it's time to take this relationship to the next level. It's time to take it to the JPA. And for the reasons why the JPAs work, the economy to scale, the partnership, the best partnership is the partnership with the city. That's the best economies to scale to operate the sewer system for this valley.
How does it work, Sage?
No, wait, give him his 3
Excuse me.
minutes.
Okay.
And then, you know, I appreciate the partnerships, but again, the district already has that partnership. The fact that it's not working doesn't mean we should throw that away and start anew again and subject another local agency to this mess. That's what it is, it's a mess. I'm surprised that the board would even consider that. We've had 2 district ad managers or applicants consider positions here and then not, after accepting remove. We're gonna subject another local agency to this mess before we really should be focusing between the city and the district how we clean up our house before moving forward. And so I really, please consider the next option, which is the city's proposal regarding the JPA.
How does it, Sage, how does it benefit the district by combining all of the revenue and any capital improvements that you, capital items or improvements that you make, or all the cities? That's what it says in this agreement. Okay, then it becomes the property of the city. Now there's partnerships that dissolve all the time. So you have a partnership that doesn't work out. Maybe if the operating agreement's not working out, maybe the partnership doesn't work out. So then you split it up again, and now all the revenue and the bond payments that the district's made, 65% of those bond payments, that becomes a 50-50 deal. I don't think it's fair to our ratepayers. I don't think that's, you know, the reason that the operating agreement laid everything out as to whose responsibilities were what and whose assets were whose was to keep everything separated for the ratepayers' benefit, I felt. Okay, I'm not convinced that this benefits the district's ratepayers.
So if we're gonna talk about the city proposal, we'll do that
But
when it's
this
on
is
the
in
agenda.
conjunction to before we approve or vote on Willow, so it is.
Right now, we've had our chance to talk, and it's the public's chance to talk. So whoever wants to speak from the gallery gets 3 minutes at this point.
Well, we just let Ernie address them, and so I'd like to address Ernie's comments.
Do you think you could wait until I close public comment, and then you
Sure.
can address? Is there anyone else from the gallery that has a comment on this item?
I'm happy to answer questions.
Yes, sir.
Good evening, Lee Howard. I think that the history kind of speaks for itself. I'm not going to speak to the JPA or the city's portion of it right now because you're not on that, but I will speak to the agreement with Will, and I think that it is probably the best deal that you could get. The bang for the buck is there. I want to tell you a little instance where right now you're not being served. There's some construction out on the north end of town. There was a new sewer line being gathered and put in. I watched it. I asked questions. I asked questions of the city. Did a public record request to see the information, the documentation. I couldn't even find a completed application for service. Leave alone where the inspections or who was doing the inspections or when they were doing the inspections. I finally turned, after I got a public records request back from the city, finally turned to your office and said, you're responsible, I want to see this stuff. Then I called your old manager that was here because his name appeared in some of the documents. And I said, how did this work? He said, well, I don't know how it works, I'm gone. But the city was dealing with it. I find that nothing to indicate that Ukiah Valley Sanitation District is being taken care of by the people that are supposed to be taken care of in the new agreement. It just isn't happening. I'm telling you, at least you'll have somebody on board that's going to be around. Mr. Redding and crew are all over this valley. They can see it. Maybe they'll figure out that, oh, they're digging up a manhole. Maybe that has something to do with the sewer. And see that it gets inspected. And see that the fees. I asked the city, $5,000 somebody paid. I asked your people in the office, did you get a record of that $5,000 anywhere? What $5,000? Asked the city. Oh, it went to the city. These are the kind of things that a manager that isn't the city will be able to help you with. I encourage you to go ahead and enter this agreement as short term, yes, and maybe you'll be able to see some forest for the trees as you move along. Thank you.
Excellent.
Is there anyone else from the gallery wishing to speak on this item? No, see none, I'm going to close public expression and open it back up to the board members. Director Bacham?
Well, I'd like to hear the presentation from the city, but to me, there's a lot of things I don't understand about it, but if you don't negotiate the JPA and knowledgeably negotiate it for the things that bother you, my understanding is that all the money, we have to step back and look at the ratepayers and what's best for the ratepayers. If all the money is pooled into one, there's no separation of the money.
But
wait a minute, and everyone gets charged the same, because in the final analysis, people want to flush their toilets and wash their clothes, and the water goes away and it's treated. And I've been in the district, lived in the city 5 years, I owned a home. I've lived in the district 25 years. The city has never failed in my sewers. They've always worked. So in the final analysis, all the money and all the bickering and all the arguing, all that money that's been spent on attorney's fees is just completely lost. Well, it doesn't benefit anyone. And at some point we have to just put an end to it. If everyone's treated equally, I can't see where that, everyone's charged the same. And
that is not the
treated
Willow Water contract we're talking about right now. Please stay on the agenda item. Okay, I make a motion to approve the contract, the master service agreement with Willow Water. Is there a second?
I don't feel comfortable voting on it until we've heard both agreements.
Okay, you can vote no, but I've made a motion and there's a second, so the motion now belongs to the whole.
I did want to address something to Sage.
We can have, sure, we can continue discussion after a motion is made. You can make a comment. I'd prefer you don't make it directly to any one person now.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah?
So I just really appreciate Sage missing us. I mean, it sounds like he really feels bad that we had to go through that separation. But there were reasons for it, and it's kind of ironic that it continues to come up that, we could have all gotten along. I know that as long as I've been on this board, the district has made every attempt to get along, that we wanted to make this thing resolved. We wanted to get this resolved. I remember that prior to the last election, we thought we had something that was similar to what we eventually did settle at, but they didn't even consider that. I did want to go into a little bit more, but basically, it's nice to hear him say that we can all just get along, because I've heard that before, but it isn't. That's not the history that I see. It continues to be the same thing. And ultimately, the city's going to take care of the city. The city's desire is to provide for the city, and we are the district. Two different entities.
Director Bacham?
Well, by accepting Willow Water's agreement today, it has no bearing on whether you can establish a JPA or do anything else you want. What it's doing is it's giving us a district manager today to take care of the issues that we have every day, like Lee brought up. And Lee, it did get inspected because I called Don and had to go down there and inspect it when I saw what was going on. So,
It's nice to have an outside manager.
Yeah,
that's,
exactly.
yeah, so
Yeah.
I acted as the outside manager and got somebody down there inspecting him because I knew that particular individual wouldn't call anybody. So, you know, that's where we're at. We're not eliminating the city's the ability to negotiate with the city in the future on something that makes more sense. That one doesn't make a hell of a lot of sense to me, I'm sorry. You know, there's a lot of holes in it. We can spend some time and energy and try to make a better one, but today I'm not voting on that one. I want to have a district manager so that we have somebody that Teresa and I don't have to do the district manager's job, which is what's been happening. So, I would hope that you could support, you know, it's a 6-month window. If we can't get anything worked out in 6 months, we'll go another year or 6 months. It's not a forever thing. There's no severance package. There's a pretty mellow agreement in my mind. We should snap it up and get our business taken care of. We're going to save a lot of money.
Don't look a gift horse at the mouth.
Yeah.
Is there any more board discussion on this item? Seeing none, there's a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
2 nays and 3 ayes. Motion passes.
Just want to follow up real quick. I don't believe that the chair is able to make a motion.
The chair is able to make the motion. It's in our district policies. I just haven't taken that liberty because I've tried to stay neutral, but I wanted to get things on, so I exercised my right to make a motion for the first time in 15 months. Okay, the next item on the agenda. Discussion to consider a joint powers agreement with the city of Ukiah for operation of UBSD. So did everybody have a chance to look over the joint powers agreement?
Yes, so to that end, and what you were saying, Ernie, I believe that it would be advantageous for us to form an ad hoc to work through the agreement and try to come up with something that we're both, you know, and report back in June. And I would be happy to do the extra work and be on an ad hoc, and I would welcome anyone else on the board to do that, to work toward an agreement. You know, I have questions and things, but to work on that JPA. And the chair can form an ad hoc at any time, doesn't have to have a motion. And that way we can go forward with seeing if we can work on that agreement.
So I'd like the floor right now. This is not a starting point. This is not a joint powers. There's nothing joint about the powers in this. I have the floor. This is 100% city takeover of district. This is half of the district ratepayers that do not live in the city that will no longer be represented. The city council will have 100% control over everything that's spent and all of the rates. The city has proposed $15 to $20 million worth of projects in the next 5 years to put in the rate study. $1 million project? So if we put all our money in together and they have 15 million and we have 1 million, the ratepayers are now going to be subsidizing the city's projects. The ratepayers will subsidize the city manager's salary of $17,000 a month. $17,000 a month for a city manager. Or how about the public works director of $15,000 a month?
Okay.
Do not interrupt me, I have the floor, please. My granny lived off of less of that than that all year long. And so when we talk about rates for our ratepayers, I don't see city rates ever staying the same or ever going down with numbers like these. They're going to continue to go up. This district is so much more financially stable. Our rates, there is no way we can have identical rates. Their spending is astronomical and it's going like this. Ours is not. Matter of fact, our district manager just went like that on our budget. How can we possibly tell our ratepayers they need to pay $100 a month for their sewer bill and maybe $150 because we don't want the responsibility of handling our business and we're just going to hand it all over to the city who has just astronomical overhead? Let's see, how much do we pay for us? $1,800 a year for this board. $90,000 for the city council. Let's compare numbers. It's right in the city budget. You want to look at it? Because I did my homework. There is no way on God's green earth that this proposal is a starting place for anybody representing the best interest of someone living in the district. Now, if you want to represent the best interest of the city, fine, run for city council. But our job is to represent the district ratepayers, and this is not even a starting point.
Okay, so I would like to form an ad hoc so that we can get into and answer these questions. Forming an ad hoc and investigating a JPA with the city is not agreeing to it. It's bringing forth information. And so, again, I'd like to hear the city, while we're on this agenda item, I put this on the agenda so that we could hear the city present the JPA. And I have some questions that I circled after reading it 2 or 3 times. I know Ernie has, others might have some questions. And then we can investigate it further. But I would like to ask the city to present or explain the proposed agreement right now.
Well, during public comment, they did not request to make a presentation to us on this agenda, so they'll get the 3 minutes per person like everybody else.
It's on the agenda, so
they didn't ask to make a presentation.
I'm asking them to make a presentation.
Nobody asked for a presentation.
We asked at the last meeting for it to be.
And
We just got this document. Did you read it?
Yes.
You've had it 24 hours and you read it.
No, luckily.
I got it a week. We got it
Luckily,
a
she
week
gave it to me
ago.
a week ago.
And I gave
Oh, well,
it-
I'm so glad you got it a week ago. Everybody else got it
Ernie
24
had it.
hours ago.
Ernie already had it a long
Oh,
time
so
ago.
only the chair got it 24 hours ago? Mr. District Manager, or Mr. City Manager?
I believe it was shared with you as well.
Yeah. So it was sent to our district 24 hours ago, maybe 48, correct?
It was
48.
Monday.
48?
Yeah.
You're smiling and laughing. Is that true, or do you think it's funny?
You're rude.
No,
Yeah.
sorry, ma'am, you're out of order.
I would just like to hear the city, I would like to hear the city present the agreement and explain it to me. I have some questions. So I'm requesting.
Okay, let's have board discussion, and then we'll open it up to public
Okay.
discussion,
Good.
please.
Okay. Let me find it in this pile here.
So how about whoever read it, why don't you tell me what it says about the ESSU division?
I'm waiting to hear from the city before.
Well,
Well, if we all read it, we should talk about it.
yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm wanting to get,
Well, what does it tell you about the ESSU?
Do you remember that part?
What page is it on? I have everything.
Well, it was a pretty significant item. I would have thought everybody would remember that.
They would all go into one pool, and whoever asked for an ESSU, they get them first. It didn't matter if it was in the district or in the city.
So
They
we
would
have
just be given
11
out as they were requested.
So we have 1,100 and they have 300 and we combine them all. And then if that's separated at some point, how does that separation go if they're handed out with no regard to district and or city? That was another issue I had.
My issue is what happens to the $20 million investment we made on paying for the 65% expansion. How do we explain?
Well, we had more
How do we-
people
what-
using the sewer
what-
district.
No, but we've invested $20 million.
We're paying back the debt.
We've,
For the
so do
expansion.
we,
We're
but
using
when we
using this-
combine all of our ESSUs, we give that back. That's no longer ours, we don't own those. So our $20 million investment is gone. We don't have the 1,100 ESSUs anymore.
We're a combined system. If we combine the system, we're all one system.
Right, so what
All the
happens?
ratepayers,
So what happened to our $20 million investment then into all those ESSUs? How are the district ratepayers made whole from that? That's what I want to know. How are the ratepayers
okay,
made
well, we
whole?
can ask that, but,
Okay, well,
That's a-
let's write down that question.
I'm not trying to be argumentative about this. I'm not saying that I agree with any part of it. I'm just saying that I would like an opportunity to hear from them as well.
Well, if you've had it for 2 weeks, have you been able to talk to anything about it?
no, we
I don't want to get in trouble for going and talking to somebody.
You
We
can
haven't.
talk to your best friend about it or whomever at the city.
I don't
Julie
think
talks
my
to the
best
city
friend
all the
Allison in
time.
Texas knows anything about this.
Well, I would, you know, what we have is we have an agreement in front of us, okay, that is what's on the table. Okay, either, we can talk all kinds of things about it, but what we have is an agreement right here, and we have to agree or disagree with this particular agreement today. So.
No,
No,
there's no
we
action
can-
taken.
we don't.
Yes, that's the item in front of us. That's what it says in the agenda, that we are gonna discuss a possible action for the.
There's no
possible action.
Right?
It's just
No?
discussion.
It's just
So
discussion?
we're just
Okay,
trying to get
okay.
all of our
So we'll
questions
to
answered.
talk about it amongst ourselves, and if some of us have some knowledge like you, that you can share with the rest of the board, we'll share that, and then we'll open it up to the public and look at the city's presentation on the joint powers
Yeah, and I
agreement.
have questions directed toward the city about different things, so that, I have some questions I'd like to ask.
So, and legal questions, like, my legal question is, you know, if half the ratepayers don't live in the city, how can we relinquish all of our rights to this city council? That's not proper representation. Also, who's gonna be looking out for the districts, for the funds? I mean, we just had our accounting firm find a $200,000 error like 2 months ago. That was $200 we were just gonna pay out, and they found an error. So if we have no one watching the books, that money just goes out, just like prior to the lawsuit.
From
There's
what
no
I-
checks and balances.
From what I read, all the district's money goes into the city's account. Okay,
The
so
enterprise
the
fund.
$7 million settlement, they just paid us, we give it back to them. And is that a benefit to the ratepayers? I don't think so, but, you know.
If they're being provided sewer service, why is it not a benefit, and the city's running the whole thing, where does the benefit cease?
They're getting sewer right now. What we're talking about is handing over I wish I had the luxury of trusting the city. I really wish I had that luxury, but I don't because of the past. And it's still continuing to this day. This is an agreement for them to take all revenue, to take all ESSUs and spend everything they want, however they want,
The
with no
ESSUs
oversight.
would be handed out with projects, if it's in the district.
Right.
And they would hand them out with the district, if it was in, it would.
And
there
no
would be
control
boundary.
over
No,
any
that's
budget
it.
issues.
That's what I thought it said.
Who
No.
sets the priority
That
for
is
that?
what it says.
Who
That's
That
what
is
it
who
said.
decides which project has the priority?
Whoever
What is-
gets their money in and their
How can
building
you
permits
name
and
all the funds
requests.
and have it separated?
Well, whoever's
However the
project
city-
goes
Not good.
forward.
However the city decides is what the answer is. With this joint powers agreement, however the city decides. You don't get a vote on that anymore. You don't get a vote on the budget anymore. You don't get a vote on the rates anymore. You don't get a vote on how much money we spend on
I'm not
staff
sure.
anymore.
Would there even be a need for a board? I'm wondering.
No, actually, it's in the document, it says the city council would become they
No,
would
the
ask,
city council would only become the board when annexation took place of 70% district territory. Only at that time, there would
Okay.
still be a board.
so let's do
So-
that. Let's let them annex.
So let's let them explain first, because we're kind of speaking here. I don't understand a lot of it, so I can't explain it.
Well, I understand quite a bit. I understand right now that the sewer portion of the budget is getting charged $260,000 to send out a bill that doesn't change, but once every 12 months. And our portion of that is 47%. I understand an IT allocation to sewer of $78,000. I understand an office supplies of $150,000. Those are all numbers in their budget. This is all sewer numbers. We have no control over these. We have some control now with our agreement. We can say, hey, I don't think it's fair that the ratepayers living outside of the city are charged for 573 911 calls. That was one of the things we objected to. I don't think it's fair, which is about $20,000. I don't think it's fair that the ratepayers living outside of the city should have to contribute to the interior design of City Hall. I don't think that's fair to our ratepayers. With this joint powers agreement in front of us, it doesn't matter what we think anymore. We give up all control of everything, and we let them spend as much as they want. And that's exactly how it was in 1955. It's exactly how it was in the 1995 agreement, and that's exactly what led to a lawsuit.
How will we ever have a combined system from ridge top to ridge top? How will we ever get to that point where we have one system?
There's a couple of options. They can annex the entire district and ask the state or the county to just abolish or get rid of our district altogether and let them take it over the proper way. We can have a joint powers agreement with all water and all sewer that includes the city. Everybody bands together. Yet still maintaining a control of our costs. This, we have no control over anything.
Okay, can we ask the city to explain?
Well, I'll close the board discussion now and open it up after public discussion. So it's now open to the public.
Hi, thank you. Maureen Mulhern, City of Ukiah resident, actually former UBSD ratepayer. I moved recently, so I'm no longer in the district, unfortunately. I just wanted to make a couple of comments. I know that the ongoing challenges of personalities between the district and the city are continuing to cost the ratepayers money and inhibit appropriate growth and opportunities in our valley. As an elected, I just wanted to say that I serve the community. What happens outside of the city limits boundary, well, I don't make policy decisions on that. It is important to me what happens to the ratepayers in the sanitation district. Those people are important to me. The entire health and economic well-being of our community is important to me. So just because I'm elected to the city council, it doesn't mean that I don't serve the entire community. And I just wanted to say that, and then I'll let staff address the contract.
May I ask how the city council feels about this joint powers agreement?
You may ask that, and at one meeting, I do believe on your behest, you requested that we send something. So we had a starting off point. We expected to be able to communicate with the district board to be able to get to some type of agreement that's in the best interest of the ratepayers. So this is just a jumping off.
The city council this is what they discussed, and this is their starting point?
We're just trying to open the conversation.
So when was that discussed at a city council meeting? I don't recall seeing it on an agenda.
You don't have to subject yourself to cross-examination.
I'm just asking if it was discussed at an open meeting, since she said they had an opinion on it.
I hear you asking.
Are you refusing to answer?
You didn't ask me.
May I ask the city attorney if it was on a city agenda?
I don't know for sure. It was discussed in closed session.
Okay, that's good enough, thank you.
Is it open for comment or?
Yes, sir, yes, you may.
If I approach my relationship with my wife the way that we're approaching this relationship tonight, about what happens if we break up, what happens if we get a divorce, I would have never been married to begin with. In order to be effective in developing relationships, we really got to think about what will work, how will it work, not how it will fail. And we obviously tonight with the expression that has come from some of the board members, I don't feel that we can have a productive discussion. And I really do appreciate, potentially the offer to be able to engage, and the suggestion to engage in a discussion through an ad hoc, to be able to answer questions, to be able to work through what could be a better partnership than what we have now. For all the reasons, again, about the benefits of forming a JPA, one service, one customer, one system, the best partnership with UDSD is the city of Ukiah. The fact that we haven't got along for the past, 7 or so years since the litigation and everything has been in place, should give us more reason to want to try harder to fix that relationship. And everything that I've heard tonight about everything that's wrong with the city or stuff that's going bad that's been expressed gives me great pause for concern that we're not going to be right back in the position where we have been, expensing lots of money on attorney's fees, jeopardizing projects. The 4th phase of the recycled water project is going to be on the table. The city had to maneuver through the state to save the first 3 phases of that because of this litigation. And if that's really the leadership that this board wants to hang its hat on and expense another $7 million in attorney's fees or more, I don't see what benefit that is to your ratepayers. I ask that, rather than going through the agreement tonight, that form the ad hoc. Sit down with us. We'll form an ad hoc of our city council to sit down and engage with you to map out what is the best solution to this. It's certainly not with what we're in right now. Again, I can't emphasize enough, because I was here about 2 months ago saying we're going to be right back in it. And we are. We're right back in it. Letters between attorneys, an agreement that people have a difficulty understanding. In fact, one of the very first deadlines about exchange of budgets. We complied on the last day of that. The district accepted our offer to extend it a day late. But we're already not following the agreement. It is not going to work. It is not in the best interest of our community. It is going to hurt development. It is going to hurt housing. It is going to hurt business. It's going to hurt our ratepayers. Thank you.
I don't think anybody said, Sage, that we don't want to entertain something else. Tell me what page there shows a separation of the revenues in this agreement. That it shows where the revenues will be held separately.
That's the exact one system. The reason why we're fighting, right, is because we continue to try to operate a single system in 2 different forms. What the agreement does say is that the system has to be operated equally for the benefit of the district and the city. And the city will grow. We will annex. Everything in our sphere of influence is potentially up for that. That is the
annex the district.
This JPA takes us to the initial step. It gets us there and stops the fighting. It stops the expense. It stops the hurt to our development, to our housing,
Your 3 minutes
to our
is up,
community.
please. Anybody else from the public wish to speak on this?
I'd like to say something.
I'm sorry, but that gentleman stood up first. Can you be after him, please?
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
You just told him his 3 minutes are up. Ernie asked him a question, and he was responding to that.
He was beyond answering the question, ma'am.
This is really unbelievable.
Does anyone else from the gallery have a comment at this point?
Again, Lee Howard. Been around here too long, got too many white hairs. You know, the reality is no, it isn't working. The reason it isn't working, you owe the city of Ukiah $7 million. That's one reason it doesn't work too good. And they got to pay them every year for the next couple of years. Why? That's tough. You made the district ratepayers somewhat whole by going ahead and continuing the lawsuit. Personally, I would have taken it all the way to trial. Yeah, they would have spent more money. But it isn't just one side that spent money. City's attorney spent money and their specialist spent money along with yours. But right now, the district is there. I don't think you start out a joint PA with making threats about how you can take over a district by growth and service area. But that's what the part of the argument is. You know, if you don't do this, well, we'll have 50% or 75% or we'll have so much of the customer base. I've been here for 65 years watching this portion of it. And I can give you just one example. 3 times the city of Ukiah tried to annex an area inside that was in the city. I'm Betty and Lorraine. You know what I'm talking about, Ernie. The 3rd time they finally made it. They made it with some promises. Not written promises. Oh, we'll take care of the people. We'll give you sidewalk, curbs, and gutters. Well, there's an old gentleman that used to live down there. He's passed away now. He used to say, you know what we got from them? We got speed bumps. You know, trust the city as far as you can see them. Negotiate with them. Go ahead. But do it out in the public. If you want to do it with a committee, fine. But when you get down to what your job is here, it's taking care of the citizens of this district. And I hope at least the 3 of you continue to do it. Because I see people that have another agenda here. No matter what happens, it sounds like it's always the city. So, thank you.
Does anyone else from the gallery have a comment on this item? Seeing none, I'll close public comment. And I just want to say that the city manager complained about our current agreement because of the attorney fees. Well, in our communications, we have a notice of dispute resolution that have cost us attorney fees, and that was launched by the city because they've disputed every single item on our budget. We have disputed some of their items, 911 calls, I'm responding,
Okay.
911 calls, fixing up City Hall, $1.8 million of salaries. We fired off a letter today too for dispute resolution. But this was supposed to be the cost-effective way to settle these without having to file a lawsuit. That's why it's in the agreement. They don't want to pay our administrative costs. We think our agreement says they should be paying our administrative costs. Let an independent third-party person decide it, and from now on, everybody will abide by that ruling. Pretty simple, and that's what we agreed to. And that, yeah, it's going to cost us a little bit of attorney fees, but we're going to move forward from that, and we're going to abide by that rule and that decision from now until we have this agreement. You know, that's how it was written up. And I'm sorry if the city manager feels that nobody in the city can understand this agreement. They wrote it. They participated in writing this. This took years to write. We could have gone to trial and we could have walked away with a bigger number. But the district, everyone voted unanimously that we felt it was more important to have a fair contract moving forward. So we were willing to settle for a lower amount of money to have a contract that was fair to our ratepayers. And that's what everybody here voted on and decided. And that's what the city signed when they signed that settlement. Do I need to remind us why we did that?
Oh, we were all here.
Except me. So, I would like to ask that we form an ad hoc to look at this JPA and try to hammer out, you know, we're not voting on it, it's not, you know, you're all gonna have another look at, and so I would like us to try to move forward and see if we can come to some agreement or get all my questions answered, or whoever else wants to do that.
I am, and this points to the need for a district manager. I would really like to get, I think in the capacity of a district manager, he would be able to address your concerns with dealing with the proposed JPA with the city. At this point, I don't know if getting an ad hoc committee is going to help us move any further down this road or not, so.
Well,
I'm in favor of just moving forward with getting a district.
now that we have Dave Redding,
Is it possible that he can get?
well, an ad hoc can get started and work with Dave.
What would an ad hoc do with this agreement?
I would meet with the city and go point by point over it.
And
We
can,
moved from the city,
I don't know.
the city council. We did that in a lawsuit, and it was terribly non-productive.
An ad hoc from the city council.
did it,
It
no,
was terribly non-productive.
Well, that may be,
So,
but I never did it, so I would like to have a crack at it.
if you wanted, I don't see any need for an ad hoc committee with this document in front of us. I think if the city of Ukiah wants if the city of Ukiah wants to put together a proposal that makes financial sense for the district ratepayers, they can present that, and that's something we can look at. This would be a disservice to every ratepayer to even entertain this
I'm not
document.
entertaining it, I would just like to meet as an ad hoc and go over the JPA, and possibly with Dave Redding's expertise in what the water districts are doing.
I don't want Dave to waste his time on this right now. We have other things. We have Rose Business Park, which I think was overcharged, I cannot get any information from the city.
Here's the information,
I
and I
have-
brought that up to you.
I have 2 will serve letters that had to come from myself and an attorney because we don't have a district manager. We have projects going on that need to be inspected and monitored. This document is not, we shouldn't spend money on this document right now.
We're not.
We should, yes we are, by paying a district manager to spend time on this, you're spending money on it.
No, I just meant that I would meet with him and get suggestions, and I don't mean for him to spend hours and hours and hours on, get copies of the JPAs that he has with the water districts and so on and so forth. I just would like to explore it further.
I think it would be much more productive to discuss this, not with city councils, but with the city attorney and Sage, that with the district manager, or, you know, I'd be willing, but I don't know if that's out of bounds.
Well,
But, you know,
if we had an ad hoc, we could talk to any of the city staff we wanted to, if we had an ad hoc. That's all I'm asking for.
Do you think that this joint powers agreement is a starting point, is a jumping off point, as the city stated? I don't see.
well, it's been my feeling that the community would benefit from a Ukiah Valley Water and Sewer District. I don't think that in my mind, that's not what we're talking about here. You know, I don't think the city wants to take over all the water and sewer in the valley. You know, I think it would benefit the community in a lot of ways if we could achieve that. I think, you know, maybe we can start discussing how that could happen. I don't, I feel that there's a lot of problems with this to me. Maybe, all those can be resolved.
Yes.
I was gonna kind of keep going with what Ernie was saying, like, I do feel that it is a starting point because we've received something, and now we can say what we don't or like, what we do or don't like about it. That's how it starts. You have to have something before you can counter and say something else. So, is it great? No. But now we can say, okay, this is exactly what we don't want. Where are you willing to give on X, Y, and Z? And find some middle ground.
They can draft another proposal and send it to us if they want.
So they're just gonna
there is
fish?
absolutely nothing that protects the ratepayers in this document. Absolutely nothing.
So rather than having them keep coming up with documents for us to say, no,
I don't
tell them what we would like to see.
What I would like to see is them follow the agreement that we currently have in place. Let's try that one time before we trust them with all sorts of other things. Let's try it for could we just once follow the agreement? Yes, we are 1 day late in responding because we don't have a district manager and we're paying attorneys to do everything right now.
And we got it the day before.
We settled that. All right, let's try. Everybody, the parties intended with this settlement agreement, the document entitled Operating Agreement for the Combined Sewer Service, Ukiah Sanitation District and City of Ukiah. We intend to execute. Nobody's executed this document. We signed it, and it has not been executed. Let's see if it works. We haven't even given it a year. We could be saving our ratepayers millions of dollars, and you just want to move on to the next thing before even giving this a year?
We're just trying to, it's going to take time. And so I would just like to get started. I'm offering to do it. I don't charge the district anything, so what can it hurt? But I would need another board member who would be willing to work with me.
Point of order, I don't see anything on your agenda about setting up a...
You don't need it on the agenda. The chair can set up an ad hoc anytime during any meeting.
Does that have to be an action item too?
No, it does not.
No, but it's your choice.
It's the chair.
I don't see a need for setting up an ad hoc with this document.
I've asked 7 times. I guess I'll just give up.
Let's take a poll. Do you see the need for an ad hoc committee, Director Marshall? Director Witt?
I'm willing to sit on an ad hoc committee.
You will?
Thank you, Ken.
What's your opinion?
Well, my opinion is what I voiced there a few minutes ago is that, I feel that the process isn't great. I kind of lean towards your idea of why don't we give the operating agreement at least a try?
I agree because,
it was a long, terrible process that we went through, everyone, to get to it. I would hope that we didn't waste all those years. And I don't think what we're doing tonight has any bearing against trying to move forward with that. But like you say, we have a lot of other business. At this point in my life, I really don't want to sit on a committee this summer because I don't have the time. I can't run my business hardly, much less.
Ken is offered to do it.
my concern is that it's going to be another delay. And I do agree with you that the operation agreement is in place. Why don't we utilize it? And if this is just another tactic to try to get things to delay, I'm not in favor of it. I don't like that at all.
So do you withdraw your...
It's not an opportunity to delay.
I just want to point out, we are following the operating agreement. The operating agreement specifies deadlines for taking various actions. The city's been adhering to all of those deadlines and taking the actions that are required by the agreement. And proposing this alternative is just something to negotiate. It's not, we haven't we haven't delayed or failed to perform under the operating agreement up till now.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. So let's stick with the operating agreement and move forward. Let's get the document that he said was this thick that got served regarding one account. That was something that we decided in the lawsuit we need to settle, and that was an $11,000 per month jail, the county jail. You know, that's the attorney fees and whatever he's talking about is, who does that account belong to? Who does that revenue belong to right now? The district or the city? I think we need to get some things in order. We need to actually see our financials. Let's execute the agreement we have for a year and see where we are financially, because we don't know. We've had all these crazy attorney fees. We've got all these crazy costs that we think we shouldn't pay and they think they shouldn't pay. Let's figure out what our financials actually are after these, are decided. And then when we see where we are financially and where the city is financially, we can make informed decisions about moving forward. I just don't see 6 months into a new agreement that cost us millions of dollars, a lawsuit, and 5 years of my life, just tossing it aside to hand it all over to the city at this point. We have to have some responsibility for what we've done and at least account for our money for the district. The majority of the board right now is not in favor of an ad hoc. At some point, if the majority of the board favors an ad hoc, I'll appoint one. But right now, Director Marshall, Director Whiff, and myself just see it as taking focus off of what's important right now. And what's important is supporting a brand new district manager, supporting Chelsea in the office, moving forward with the dispute resolutions we have with the city right now, finishing up our audits. We're gonna get that 5-year audit report soon, and we're gonna have to make some changes. There is no way that's gonna come out. I mean, no one's embezzled or anything, but we're definitely gonna have to make changes on how we account for things. We've got a road ahead of us where we need to take care of our business before we just wipe our hands clean of it and shove it off to someone else. That's my thought. Yes, Director Marshall.
Yeah, I actually would like to see that. I mean, I wouldn't even know how to go through the process of coming up with a JPA, but I don't even have the materials. I mean, we don't even know where we sit right now without having exercised the new agreement. So it would be nice possibly revisit this a few months down the road after we've actually been able to apply the district manager, get things rolling.
Is there any more discussion on this item? No. Seeing none, we'll go on to item 7. General manager report, director's reports, letters received and sent. So we did send out, per our last meeting, the board wanted us to send out a will serve letter to Mr. Honeycutt for the Vinewood development, and that was done. Vineyard Crossing, sorry, and you have a copy of that here. Also, a very will serve letter for less than one ESSU was sent out to the engineers putting up a shell building that will eventually house Panda Express somewhere over by Costco. That is in your packet of communications. Also in your packet is the dispute resolution notice received from the city of Ukiah on 5/2. Also in your packet of communications is a response to a Public Records Request Act from a member of the grand jury. Also in your packet is the communication from the district to the city regarding our position on why the district feels the jail is within the district limits and is the district account, and then give the city plenty of time to review those documents, and hopefully their appointed person will be calling our district manager or emailing and letting them know if they agree with the information provided or disagree, and then we'll figure out how to move forward with that. that has been sent off. Also just sent today was our dispute resolution for those certain items that our board agreed to dispute on the overall city budget.
Excuse me, Chairman Carolyn, I don't see those documents in the packets that were left on the counter.
They're this big, so if you'd like one, you can have one. But your city, you did get this today.
I don't see the letter from the Panda Express and the other things that you mentioned.
The will serve letters?
Yeah.
You want a copy of the will serve letters?
I would like a copy of all the things.
There you go. Also, under Director's Reports and Communications, I was researching our ordinances and our resolutions, and I found a resolution that pertains to our Ordinance 35, is what sets our commercial rates for our sewer hookups. And I have a suspicion that the Rose Business Park warehouse may have not been charged properly. Remember, that was a huge issue. She was charged
$50,000.
Right.
$70,000.
There's
There's
actually a resolution that said not to use the line that says 0.15 ESSUs per thousand square feet. It said to use based on flow, use a formula. And it was resolution 2011-02. Okay. So I have requested from the city documentation on how they came up with the ESSU count. I wasn't able to get that, but Director Bockham now informs me that she got that for me. So we'll send that off to our engineer along with the formula and the flow rate for that. And we'll see if that was calculated correctly or if we owe someone a refund.
Sean wants to make a comment, I think.
I just wanted to say that after our phone conversation, you said you were going to forward the resolution because I didn't know which one you were referring to. I never got it, and then I sent you 2 more emails requesting it.
And Chelsea sent you the link because it's on our website, so we sent you the link.
I don't have any record of the link. But I'm just saying, the reason you haven't got it, I sent a reminder 2 days ago, and I sent one about a week before that.
Right after you sent us another notice, we said, here's an attachment of the first email that has the link on it. Because they're all online. So it was a 2-page resolution and it had a link up just to click on.
To your website or to the, because I was asking which specific resolution.
It was a link to the resolution on the website, but I wasn't even asking for you to recalculate. All I wanted was the documentation on how you came up with her charge. Because then I would send that to our engineer along with the formula of how she should have been charged, or he, I don't know, and make sure it was done properly. So it doesn't matter what the resolution was, I just wanted to know how this person was charged and if we owe them a refund. Because if we do, you know, a few months have gone by, I don't want to incur interest.
Our conversation ended with you saying you would send me the resolution so I could do the research, and I was just waiting for that.
Chelsea has the email that we sent the link, right? So I don't know if you just didn't see it or...
I will check. I don't see it.
It's a moot point right now because Director Bockham says she has the information on how that was calculated, and that's all I needed, just how we came up with that number.
I can tell you how that was arrived.
Yeah, I needed the paper to prove it. I mean, I can't just...
It was arrived at our ordinance without the revision.
Okay.
If you read ordinance 35, that was the way that Ben calculated it, because I questioned him on it.
Okay.
At the time it was calculated.
So I know that was a real sore point with us, so I wanted to share that under my reports, that I think there's a correction there, and that our system of calculating that isn't as crappy as we think. And that at the next board meeting, I'll put it on the agenda, a follow-up on that, so we can discuss it and approve any refund if that is warranted, okay? Okay. Let's see, do any other directors have reports at this point? And Julie, thank you for doing that for me. I just want to thank you. Okay, the next regular meeting is June 12th, and we are now adjourned at 7:21.